911 Systems here with a video showing you how to program the Command Alert controller, also known as the Command Alert 3. So using the terminal program that's included on the flash drive in the box with your Command Alert 3, you would load this program onto your computer and you would open it. Once you have the Command Alert 3 plugged in, you would come down and make sure that you have the proper COM port selected, make sure you have a green light, and come up here and press P for program. Once you get into the programming mode, you'll see that there are 6 options. Options 1 through 5 basically allow you to set up different, set up the different buttons and marker tones and whatnot for alerting with the tones you choose. All you'd have to do here is press 1, and that would allow you to change the settings for button 1. So let's just go into button 1 so we can see what it's set for. Oops. So now once we go into button 1, you'll see that you have the option to choose if you need to change an action, your wait time, or your repeat time. So we're going to go into actions, pressing 1, and you'll see that this is set up for a 2-tone alternating. This is a 2-tone alternating, so this is a high-low tone. So this would be like an evacuation tone. And how you see that is because T means tone, and then the A tone is 1242.8 hertz at 0.2 seconds, and tone B is 752.5 hertz at 0.2 seconds, and it repeats 24 times. So that's going to get you a high-low effect. You see here. So if we wanted to change that, you would go back in and you would choose your actions, or choose one for button 1 and 1 for actions. And then now you can choose if you want to do an M, T, or S. So M is going to be for your MP3s. Those are those are your files labeled 000 through 255. So 000 is no audio. And up to 255 audio files can be loaded on the micro SD card. So we are going to stick with tones for now. So we're going to hit T for tone. And once we press the T, it's going to say, what would you like the A tone to be? So if you need to do 2-tone, then you would put your first tone in here, and then it would go into your B tone. So for example, let's do 1092.4. So you do 1092. You do not have to press the decimal point. It automatically puts the decimal in. So 10924. And we need to do this for 1 second. So we'll do 01, and the decimal point is automatic again, and then 0. So 1 second. And now your B tone. For the B tone, we're going to do a lower frequency tone. So let's do 569.1 hertz. So since it's only a 3-digit tone, you'll have to put a 0 at the beginning. So we're going to do 0, 569. The decimal point is automatic. You do not have to press the decimal point. And then 1. And then that's the second tone. So we're going to make that 3 seconds. So we're going to hit 030. And we're only going to let that play once. So there's not going to be a repeat. So now it's saying if you would like to add something else, or if you need to put a delay in, each comma equals a 1/4 second. So let's say we want to pause this for a 1/2 second. So we're going to do comma, comma, and we're going to press enter. Now it says escape to cancel, enter to save. So we're not quite done yet. We want to do another tone. So we're going to hit T here again, and we're going to do a different tone this time. So now what we're doing is we've done the first tone here. We've done a 1/2 second pause, and now we're doing the second tone. So the second tone is going to be 879 hertz, and it's going to be 1 second. And the B tone is going to be 1177.5 hertz, and that's going to be 3 seconds. And it's going to be a 0 repeat. We do not need to pause anything because we're done now. So we're going to be able to press enter, and we'll press enter to save. So now you can see here that the tone string, the pause, and the second tone string have been saved. So now when you press button 1, you're going to get a 1 second, 3 second tone with 1092.4 and 569.1. It's going to pause for a 1/2 second, and then it's going to do tone 879.0 and 1177.5. So now we've set up button 1. That shows you how to, set up your tone. Now this is the same for buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The only exception to this rule is that the black button, input 4, can also be used as the engage button. And what that is, that requires you to press button 4 to press buttons 1, 2, or 3 for an activation. So you do limit yourself. You take away one button of functionality from the unit, but it gives you a safeguard in case something drops on the command alert controller or presses the button on accident. It lessens the likelihood that you'll have a false activation of a tone. You really have to press, you really have to have two buttons pressed to get it to activate. So the marker tone, this here, it does program the same as your other 4 buttons. This is just a marker tone for when there is an emergency on the channel. You can put any frequency tone, whatever length, and have it repeat however many times for letting other people coming onto the channel know that there's an emergency and not to transmit. So I'm going to go to number 5 just so we can see how that's set up. And you can see here, when you go into your actions, you can see that we have this set up as a 435 hertz tone for a half a set, 0.6 seconds, and there is no second tone. And as you can see here, we also do not have any of the repeat stuff set up here because we're actually using the repeat settings in number 2. See right here when you go back into number 5 and then you go to 2, you can see that it waits 10 seconds is its pause in between making the tone sound, and then it repeats 100 times. Now, obviously, you can have that repeat, all the way up to 255 times, which would give you a significant amount of time, especially with a 10-second interval in between the beeping. So this is, like I said, that's the channel marker function. Let me go back here and just go to the settings now. I think the settings are kind of important to talk on. So the timeout timer is, I have a question about the timeout timer, and I'll have to go back to my notes in the software about this, but I'm pretty sure the timeout timer, it's in minutes. So it's 5 minutes is when it would time out. So that's if you, for example, you had your marker tone active and it was on for 5 minutes. At 5 minutes, the system would reset and it would kill your marker tone. So you can adjust that to anything you want. You can make it 000, and that would disable the timeout altogether. So your button press, notice we do have one press. And what that means is basically when you press your button to activate the tone for that particular button, do you have to continuously hold it for the tone to play out, or can you just press at one time? So one press, if you press the engage button, because notice we do have the black button set to enable or engage. So and I'm sorry, I'm kind of going everywhere with this, and it's probably a little confusing if you're trying to follow me. But one press basically means, let's see if we give you a definition. So one press, you press the button, and whatever tones are programmed into the controller or audio file or whatever will just play all the way through for whatever the amount of cycles are that you have set. If you change it to hold button, you would have to physically hold the button for the duration of the tone or the audio that you want to play. So this is beneficial if you're planning on using this just for like alert tones, as far as like a long tone, a mayday tone, like a beeping tone, or a evacuation tone. Then, the hold button would be beneficial, because as long as you hold the button down, you're getting the alert sounds you want continuously on loop. Where with the one press, it's going to be a one and done. You press it, it does whatever the cycle setup is, and that's going to be that. So let me escape out of this and go back in here to the settings again. The other thing that is nice about this is we do allow you to choose if the black button is enable, or if it is an action button. If you have it set for an action, so if you were to change it to action by pressing 1 here, you would be able to configure button 4 to have its own set of rules to play its own tone. When you have it set for enable, it's simply an engage or an enable button that allows you to press buttons 1, 2, or 3 to activate them. And that's like I said, a fail-safe, so you don't have false activations. The other thing that you can set in the settings is how fast your DTMF tones come out. So right now you can see we have it set to 150 millisecond and 50 milliseconds. So what that is it's saying the tone is 150 milliseconds long, and then there's a 50 millisecond space between each DTMF key press or tone. And this can be set way down, or it can be set way up if you need longer DTMF tones. Now this is specific to DTMF tones. Your two-tone timings are set in the actual actions. If you remember when we were in here for number 1, whoops, let me escape out of here, go back to number 1 and go to actions for button 1. You can see here where your length is set for your tones here in your action. So 1 second, 1 second and 3 seconds, and then your repeat. So it's not really hard to program. It is a learning curve. It looks very complicated, but it's pretty straightforward. Doing the controller using programming using terminal program keeps the cost down on the manufacturing of these, which allows me to sell the units a lot cheaper than what they would have to be if we needed to develop, say, a Windows or a Mac program to do all this. So hopefully this little tutorial kind of helped. I know I was kind of all over the place, as I usually am. I can't stay very focused with these because I get sidetracked. I really need to have a punch list and read down the punch list, but I feel like that would just cause my videos to be 2 hours long because I'd want to hit on every subject that I write down. So hopefully you get the idea of programming and how it works, and that each thing can be programmed separately. So I hope this video helps you in either programming or making a decision if this will work for you or not. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. And another thing is just make sure when you're done programming the unit to press the escape button so you can exit the programming. And, that's pretty much it. It's really plug and play. Y'all have a good evening.